My name is Alex, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that even the sweetest dreams can turn into the most haunting nightmares. It all began when I landed a job at the illustrious Chocoholic Haven Chocolate Factory from the outside. It gleamed like a beacon of sweetness in our town, promising endless delights to all who entered. But as I soon discovered, there was more to Chocoholic Haven than met the eye. The factory seemed to pulse with a strange energy, an almost palpable sense of unease that lingered in the air like a bad omen. Still, I brushed aside my misgivings, eager to dive headfirst into the world of chocolate making. Yet, as the days passed, peculiar incidents began to unfold. Chocolate bars went missing from the production line, and workers whispered in hushed tones about strange shadows darting through the corridors when no one was looking. Despite the rumors, I tried to convince myself that it was just the overactive imagination of a new employee adjusting to the factory's quirks. That is until one fateful night when curiosity got the better of me. Alone in the factory after hours, I found myself drawn to a forgotten corner hidden behind towering stacks of cocoa powder. There, tucked away from prying eyes, was a door covered in dust and cobwebs, its presence ominous and foreboding. Driven by a mixture of fear and fascination, I pushed open the door, revealing a sight that would forever haunt my dreams. The chamber beyond was like something out of a macabre fairy tale, a twisted, nightmarish version of Willy Wonka's chocolate paradise. But instead of candy-coated wonders, I found horrors beyond comprehension. In the dim light, I saw shelves lined not with chocolates, but with jars filled with strange, pulsating substances. And in the center of the room stood a massive cauldron, bubbling with a thick, viscous liquid that seemed to writhe and squirm of its own accord. But the true horror came when I realized the purpose of the chamber. It was a place of sacrifice, where unsuspecting souls were consumed to fuel the factory's insatiable appetite for sweetness. My blood ran cold as I realized the true nature of Chocoholic Haven, a facade of indulgence masking a darkness beyond imagination. Terrified and desperate to escape, I fled the factory, vowing never to return. But even now, as I try to put the horrors of that night behind me, I can't shake the feeling that Chocoholic Haven still holds sway over me, its malevolent presence lurking just beneath the surface of my dreams. For in the world of chocolate, not all sweetness is as it seems. And once you've tasted the darkness that lies within, there's no going back.
My name is Emily, and I live in a quaint town where nothing ever seems to happen. That is until the nightmares began. Each night, I was tormented by visions of blood-soaked streets and twisted faces contorted in agony. One evening, as I walked home from work, I stumbled upon a scene that chilled me to the bone. A crowd had gathered around a small alley, their faces pale with shock. A body lay sprawled on the ground, her skin stripped away in a grotesque parody of humanity. Terrified, I ran home, but the horrors didn't end there. The city descended into chaos as the serial killer continued his reign of terror, leaving a trail of mutilated bodies in his wake. Panic gripped the streets as people locked themselves away, too terrified to venture outside. I lived in constant fear, knowing that the killer could strike at any moment. And then, one night, he found me. Dragged into his workshop, I endured unspeakable horrors as he carved away strips of my flesh. But salvation arrived in the form of flashing lights and blaring sirens. The police burst in, guns drawn, and I was whisked away to safety. Though the scars would never fully heal, I found strength in knowing that I had survived. As I walked the streets once more, I vowed to never forget the darkness that had threatened to consume me. For in the end, it is not the monsters that define us, but our ability to rise above them, to find light in the darkest of places, and to never lose hope in the face of unspeakable evil. The scars may fade, but the lessons learned will endure, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of hope to conquer even the most profound darkness. And though the echoes of terror may linger, they will never drown out the melody of hope that sings within us all.
My name is Jack, and I've always been a sucker for a good barbecue. There's just something about the smoky aroma, the sizzle of meat on the grill, that makes my mouth water. So when I heard about this new barbecue joint in town, I couldn't wait to try it out. Little did I know, my hunger would lead me down a path of terror I never could have imagined. The moment I stepped into the restaurant, I was hit with the rich scent of barbecue sauce and charred meat. The place was packed, which I took as a good sign. I found a seat at the bar and eagerly awaited my order. When the bartender slid a plate in front of me, my stomach rumbled with anticipation. But as I lifted the bun to take my first bite, something felt off. Instead of the juicy, succulent meat I expected, there was something else inside. I peered closer, my heart pounding in my chest. It wasn't meat at all. It was something else. Something dark and twisted. My mind refused to comprehend what I was seeing. I glanced around the restaurant, suddenly aware of the eerie atmosphere that seemed to hang in the air. The other patrons were devouring their meals with an almost frenzied intensity, oblivious to the horrors lurking beneath the surface. I pushed my plate away, bile rising in my throat. I had to get out of there. But as I made my way towards the exit, I felt a hand grab my arm with a vice-like grip. I turned to see the chef standing behind me, his eyes gleaming with malice. "Leaving so soon?" he asked, his voice dripping with menace. I tried to wrench myself free, but his grip only tightened. "You can't leave," he said, a sinister smile spreading across his face. "Not until you've tasted my specialty." With horror, I realized what he meant. The meat in those buns wasn't pork or beef. It was something far more sinister. Something inhuman. I struggled against the chef's grasp, but it was no use. He dragged me towards the kitchen, his laughter echoing in my ears like the toll of a death knell. And as he forced me to take a bite of his grotesque creation, I knew that I would never be the same again. For in that moment, I had tasted the true horror that lurked behind the facade of the butcher's barbecue.